Good morning. Good morning. I don't know how to start these videos. So yesterday I was watching a YouTube video and there was like this lawyer that was explaining to people how to get a job if you're a convicted felon. And he said either you can get a job in construction or you could start your own business. It was kind of the two basic starting points that he started with. And I read all the comments. I think there was like 154 comments, and every comment that I read was insanely negative. They were people saying, well, you can't get a good job if you're a felon. Yeah, you can go get a shitty job. Or how do you start a business if you don't have any money? It takes money to make money and all this sort of shit, right? And so I commented back and I basically gave my opinion and, what I think about the whole situation. And so I basically wanted to take my comment and put it into a video, right? So what I said in the comment section, and I was speaking to other felons, right, was let me tell you a little bit about how I started, right? So when I first got out of prison, I had zero skills, right? And so, yeah, like everybody else, I started, this is back when you used to fill out applications. I started filling out applications and I was looking for a job. Couldn't get a job. Nobody wanted to hire me. And I was like, oh, whatever. So I asked my mom, I said, do you know anybody that's looking for any help? Right. And so she asked around a little bit and there was a farmer. His name was Dave. He, he said, yeah, I'll hire him. I'll hire him. I think it was like $8 an hour. And first of all, you got to remember $8 an hour back then is basically like $15 an hour now. It was shit money. Right. But he hired me and he hired me as like to pick stones and just like complete manual labor. But it was a job. I think I made like, 300 bucks a week or whatever. And again, this was back in the day, but my point is I had an income, right? So once I started this job, I asked tons of questions, tons of questions. I would ask them, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I would always ask them, when can I learn how to operate the equipment? Nope, didn't want to let me operate the equipment because I had no experience. Well, I just kept asking and kept asking, and I would practice on my day off. Not in any situation, but just practice how to operate the skid loader. And so eventually came a day when he needed an extra guy to operate the skid loader, and he's like, "Well, do you want to give it a chance?" I said, "Sure, I'll give it a chance." Well, I had practiced on my time off and I had gotten super good. So at that point, he put me in the skid loader all the time. So you fast forward like 2 years, I learned so much stuff working on this farm that I then decided my parole agent said, well, why don't you go get your CDL? So I went to Fox Valley Tech and, it was a 10-week class. I got my CDL. And I think on like week 7, they start bringing in recruiters from different companies. And everybody that was there basically had a job by like week 8 for sure. I didn't have a job. I was thinking to myself, oh shit, is this gonna, am I not gonna be able to get a job? Because I was a felon. So as soon as I got my CDL, I got out of school. Uh, First, I went and worked for a farm. I was hauling shit or manure, whatever you want to call it. I started hauling manure for a farmer. And then I went and got another crappy job hauling used tires. I mean, I was driving truck, but it was like the bottom of the barrel. And I got a couple years experience. And then eventually I applied for a liquid waste removal place and they paid amazing money. And yeah, I did that for quite a few years. Now, as I was doing that, I started buying tools, started learning, more about building, construction, going on YouTube, just basically learning anything I could, right? And then eventually I just started my own business. And now I can do whatever I want. I have my own tools. I have my own truck. I have my own trailer. I can kind of work when I want to work, not work when I don't want to work. Right now, I'm actually working with my brother-in-law. I'm not working for him. I'm a subcontractor, right? So we work together. And yeah, I can pick and choose what I want to do now. The moral of the story and the long story short, right, is if you plan on getting out of prison and just making like 48, 58, $68 soon as you get a job, well, you're crazy. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that for normal people. You have to work through situation, right? But if you get out and you try and you work your way through the system, eventually you're going to be exactly where you want to be. And now once you have a good job and you start making money, then it just depends on what you're going to do with it. Are you going to invest it back in yourself, or are you going to fuck all your money off on brand new shoes and a nice car and a nice this and a nice that? Or are you going to invest it in tools, invest it in property, and continue to make money? And again, that's up to you. It's another decision. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to let you guys know in this video. Um, that if you're a convicted felon, yes, you're not going to get an amazing job right away, but start on the bottom and then work your way up. And the other thing is, right, when you first get a shitty job, don't say to yourself, oh man, I have to work at this shitty job. Tell yourself, I, I get to work at it. You know what I mean? Don't say I have to, I get to. And look at it as an opportunity. Look at it and say, okay, I was making 48 cents an hour when I was in prison. Now I'm making 15 bucks an hour. It might not sound like a lot, in comparison to what other people are making, but if you just look at it, in comparison to what you were making, it's an opportunity. So, yeah, take care, guys. God bless, and leave some comments and let me know what you think. All right.